Okay, guys, I think we're going to start the webinar session for today. Today we'll be talking about how to select the right level transmitter based on customer needs and applications. Before we dive deeper into level applications, let's first discuss how it differs from the pressure applications. In pressure applications, the pressure is usually controlled over 30 psi because product is being directed to some location, like in line pressure control in the separator applications. Whereas in the level application, customers are more concerned about the product height and the product volume in the tank, and we use pressure as an indirect way to measure that height. And it's impacted by the product density. It depends on what kind of product that we have in the tank, whether it's heavier or lighter. And if you recall your high school physics equation where pressure equals to rho GH, rho being the density of the product, G is the gravity constant, and H being the height of the product. So if you are measuring the pressure and if you know the density of the product, then you can infer the height of the product in the tank. Using that basic equation and using water as a product, it turns out that if we have 1 psi of pressure, it will equate to about 27.7 inches of water. To put that in perspective, imagine a 10-foot tall tank and you have a sensor at the bottom of the tank that's full. You would measure just under 5 psi. So 10-foot tall tank, but just under 5 psi of pressure. Also note that in many of these applications, sometimes the product temperature could change. And when that happens, it usually induces a small change in the pressure reading of the transmitter that's being used. For pressure applications, it might not matter much because it's a small percentage change, but in level applications, depending on the size and the shape of the tank, it could mean a very high volume. And that's the reason the level transmitters need to have a special kind of temperature compensation technology built into it so that it can accommodate such scenarios where the product temperature could change. That's why it's very critical for us to know whether the transmitter is going to the pressure application or the level application, because it might affect the customer's expectation quite a lot. Starting with the basic principle of the level measurement, like I said earlier, it's an indirect measurement of height, and we use the product density in that calculation. Here's an example of a tank that is open to atmosphere, that liquid filled up or just up to a certain level. The diaphragm of the transmitter or the sensor would be measuring pressure not only from the atmosphere but also the pressure from the liquid. And it is usually transferred up to the transducer using an actuating fluid. And the transducer is always referenced to atmospheric pressure as well by using a vent or the second diaphragm. The transducer subtracts that atmospheric pressure from the diaphragm pressure and then converts into the millivolt and transfer it to the electronics. And the microprocessor or the other electronics will take that millivolt signal and convert it into the milliamp output that's proportional to the height. Continuing on the level principle, here's an example with two tanks, tank A and tank B, both of which are 277 inches tall, And if you have a sensor at the bottom of both of these tanks, because of the equal height, both of these will be measuring the same amount of pressure, going by the pressure equation of height times specific gravity, and that would turn out to be about 10 psi in this specific example. In level applications, like I said earlier, customers are more interested in the height or the volume of the liquid of the product inside the tank. And you can see, based on the ID of the tank, in tank A, the total volume will calculate to be about 19,500 gallons, whereas in the tank B, it computes to be just under a gallon. So in level, we need to be aware of the tank shape and size and the implication it has in the volume of the product in the tank that customers are more concerned about. Going further in the level applications, it can be divided or categorized into inventory applications and the process applications. An example of inventory level application is a dairy silo where milk is stored and in an inventory. In this application, the customers are more concerned about the total product volume in the tank. And like I showed you in the previous examples, depending on the shape and size of the tank, a small change in height could mean a large change or a very big change in the volume. That's why the customers who use transmitters in the inventory level applications give paramount of importance to the accuracy of the sensor. Also in these applications, the product temperature is usually very stable, although it could change during cleaning process, and the level or the height of the product changes very slowly. On the other hand, if you think about the process level applications like batching tank and balance tanks, customers are more interested in the product height in the tank. They need to be sure that when your transmitter is outputting certain milliamps, there's a product is filled up to the certain level or certain height inside the tank. That's why the repeatability is of the most critical feature in the process level applications. Taking an example of balanced tank, where the hot product could be diverted back to the tank with a cold product, there could be situations where the product temperature could change very rapidly and at the same time the product level, which means the customers would want the sensor that is very fast, that is able to respond very fast to such temperature changes and the level changes. So based on all this information, what it makes it clear is that based on the applications, whether it's pressure or the level applications, and even inside the level applications, whether it's for inventory or process, we need to be very careful on understanding those needs and then speccing the right transmitter. For the level applications today, we'll be covering 4 major products from Anderson-Negele: the SL, SX, HB, and L3. We will be covering the pressure transmitters and pressure applications in future webinars, but today we'll remain focused on these 4 product lines. So with SL, generally think about the dairy inventory silo. It's best suited for that application because in silos, the temperature is usually cold and it's usually stable, and SL is optimized for that cold product accuracy. Also, in the areas where the silos are located, it's very humid, and the SL has a dual diaphragm design, which basically means it uses the diaphragm for the atmospheric pressure measurement as well. since it's a closed system and there's no openings, it means it will eliminate the moisture path getting into the electronics of the sensor, which means it provides a longer life in the process. Also, many of these dairy applications require the flush mount fittings, and SL has the largest selection of 3A flush mount fittings in the whole industry. Also, SL is built with all stainless steel, the housing, cap, and the fittings and everything, and it's a very robust design. SX. With SX, think about intrinsic safety. And by that, I mean the applications where the sensor could be exposed to flammable liquid, vapor, or gas. So for the applications like that in distilling, where the alcohol has to be separated from water, or in the cosmetic industry, SX is your preferred choice to go. SX is the only sensor in our level transmitter series that has the intrinsic safety. So whenever that is needed, go with SX. SX, it is similar to SL in terms of design. It also has the dual diaphragm design and helps you prevent the moisture ingression. It also has large selection of fittings, and again, it's made with all stainless steel body and has a very robust design. Next, HB. HB is our compact transmitter, and when you think about HB, think about the balanced tank applications. Like I said in an earlier example, that in balanced tank, the hot product could be suddenly get diverted back to the tank, and it might have a cold product, and there's going to be a sudden temperature shock. HB is the best product for that because the temperature compensation of the HB has been optimized for such kind of temperature shock. Also, it is very compact, and balanced tanks are usually very small. So with a compact design, it becomes very easy to mount in tightest of the piping locations. Also, HB has a similar dual diaphragm design, and it prevents the moisture path to the electronics, and also it's all made of stainless steel and has a very robust design. You can see that the sensor is just about 2.65 inches tall, and with the connector in there, it's about 2.31 inches wide. So compact, best suited for balanced tank. Finally, we have L3. L3 is the new product that we launched at the beginning of the year, and it's our go-to sensor for all other process and inventory level applications. For example, in the mass turn and lautering applications in brewery, batching or mixing tanks, CIP vessels, sugar inventory, or the cooking vessels for different kinds of food applications. The L3 has a very high accuracy, so it becomes appropriate for the inventory level applications. It also has the best-in-class temperature performance across a wide range of temperature, from 0F to 230F. So it meets many requirements of the process level applications. And on top of that, L3 also offers the output, the milliamp output, to be scaled to volumetric values like gallons and pounds. And it allows that by offering the onboard configuration of tank dimensions and the product-specific gravity. You have a very simple interface on L3 that lets you change all these parameters very easily. And also, unlike other sensors that we talked about in this series, the L3 has a remote option and can be mounted remotely on a difficult locations where it's difficult to read the values on the display. To summarize, SL, think about dairy inventory silo, and it's best suited for that because the performance of SL is optimized for cold product accuracies, and it offers the largest 3A plus fitting options. SX, think about intrinsic safety applications in distillery or cosmetic industries. ASBs, think about balanced tank applications because it's optimized for the temperature shock and it has a very compact design. And L3, the go-to sensor for all other applications, breweries, batching and mixing tanks, CIPs, sugar inventories, and cooking vessels. And that's because it offers the very high accuracy and also the best-in-class temperature performance across wide temperature range. One thing I would like to add on L3 is the first product that we designed that's suited for both pressure and the level applications, and you would hear about L3 in future webinars as well when we cover the pressure transmitters. That's all I had. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please type it in the chat section or the QAN section, and I'll be happy to answer those. So here's one of the questions on which of these sensors have heart. The L3 has heart built in as a standard into the product, and SL also offers an heart as an option. We have another question on the regarding the water ingression on the SBs on some of the instances where there were examples of water ingression. The product is designed to not have those water ingressions, but I will follow up with the asker to get more information on the applications, and I'll follow up with you individually. The other question was from Paul Franco, is L3 a good transmitter for the dairy silo applications? Really, SL is the best transmitter for the dairy application because of the cold temperature. And also the SL offers the widest offerings for the 3A plus fittings needed for the dairy and I would recommend the SL for that. A question on which of these transmitters have the display. L3 is the only product that has a display. We have another question regarding, does any of these sensors have relay switches built in for level control? Yes, L3 has a relay switch built into the transmitter.
All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and wrap up now. If you have any questions, feel free to submit them still, and we will get back to you offline. Also, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to your RSM or customer service or tech services here at the Fultonville location. So we thank you for your attendance again, and be on the lookout for your email shortly with a discount code. Thank you.